MeTV 24 Meridian proudly presents your favorite way to start the day. Welcome to Mornings with Scotty Ray and Candace.
And good morning, Scotty Ray and Candace on this Thursday, and it's going to be hotter than Hades. Is it okay to say that word?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
I think it is.
Hot. We've got temperatures that are going to be over 100 today. The heat index in between now and Sunday is going to be around 110. We even have one day. Let me see if I can just point this out here. I think you really ought to see this. Oh, yeah, here it is. 103. Look at that on Saturday.
Not looking forward to it at all.
So,
We have baseball tryouts, so that'll be great.
You better have somebody standing by with a rag.
Yeah, my little one's trying out for the travel team again. So,
So have you went and bought the thing that goes around your neck that keeps you cool?
we have those. We have several of those. We keep them in a ice water cooler when it's game time. And this last tournament that we had was awful. I mean, it was so hot. Some of these kids played games back to back, and I just told Alden, I said, if you're not on the field, you're drinking water or you got that thing around your neck, like at all times.
There you go. Well, good morning to you. We've got a special guest coming up in just a little while, Michael Cassidy, who has ruffled some feathers in the establishment in the state of Mississippi. I even mentioned this to Michael before he went in, to be called the dirtiest of dirtiest words in the state of Mississippi, and that is a carpetbagger. Boy, when you really upset somebody when you call them a carpetbagger. We're going to get into that with him in just a little bit and find out what all this is about, where he's from, why he was put on the ground. All of this has been slung, and we'll find out the truth behind it. From his point of view, it's coming up. Don't rush off. Well, over the city of Meridian last night, you got a feel for these guys. I've seen this on television, that in the middle of the night, somebody that doesn't make their car payment, they've got to sneak over, look around, and jump in the car and repossess it.
Yes.
Well, that was going on last night amongst Meridian, and boy, you feel for these guys as they get chased trying to earn a living. Let's pull up a map.
You got to be pretty brave.
Especially in this neighborhood, as many gunshots as we've reported in this area. Let's go to the Highland Park Drive area. Yes, sir, Bob. This is where it all took place last night. He repossesses a car here, and he has to get to here because he's being chased by them. Boogie there, boogie there. Right down the highways and byways.
So I wondered, did somebody drop him off? He got in the car and left in the car? Surely he didn't have to hook up to the car.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
It would be good to have an extra key at that point for the car.
But he did run on down to the Meridian Police Department, wait on the police department to arrive to handle the situation.
Yeah.
He did notify the people, hey, I'm here to repossess it, and they just didn't take too kindly to it.
Yeah.
Got upset. You've seen that to where they've jumped in the cars with the wreckers hooked to it, and they floorboard it trying to get away.
You've seen there used to be a TV program about it, and this one lady, you remember it was a lady who drove the wrecker. Did you see that?
I remember that.
She was pretty rough. I mean, she didn't mess around when she went to repossess the vehicle. You didn't mess with her either.
Not in my line of work.
I just remember her going to a nail salon one time and trying to repossess this guy's car. He comes out. He is doing karate moves. He's flipping. He's doing all this stuff, and she just picks him up or something and slams him down on the ground, gets in the truck, takes off.
That's called a woman that you don't want to date. That's what that's called in the South.
I would say so, yeah.
As we go to things that went on yesterday, I-20, mile marker 165, right outside of town over at the truck stop. The guy was leaving there, getting on the interstate. He took the turn most likely a little too fast, and if you've got a heavy load, well, it doesn't turn out well. As we go to sammedia.network, that's what it looked like. Somebody's KW on its side.
Yeah, we have seen this a good bit.
Yes.
Lately. Yeah.
And as we look at this, it just got worse. Now, he wasn't hurt, but I don't imagine he's waking up feeling too good this morning either. Yeah. And the best I can tell, that would be a track off a track hoe. That's one of those that's getting repaired or moved around. But a little incident there. And again, that's the scene yesterday. Held up traffic for a little while. They were on the scene, got it all cleaned up. But like I said, you wouldn't feel too good today. You'd be sore at the worst case scenario.
Right.
College Park, have mercy. We had a fender bender again yesterday. As we go there to take a look at this was right out my Popeyes there in the parking lot when you pull in there.
CVS.
Yeah, CVS in that area. And the further you get into these pictures, the more damage you see that was done to the cars.
Goodness.
So y'all be careful around town.
Pretty hard lick right there.
It was. The last thing you want to be doing is calling Chet this morning. Sometimes it's nice to ask him how the fishing weather is, but Whew, boy, your car all messed up there.
Yeah, make you cry.
It will. Now, I got a report this morning. If you live out near Collinsville, Lake Ross Collins, there's some video floating around today of folks that were, well, opening car doors, seeing what you had left in your car unlocked. Check your cars, make sure you're not missing something.
Right. Always lock your doors at night.
Yeah, they were on foot, kind of traveling through the neighborhood. We also had reports of Village Ridge Apartments. Now, this is going to be in the Marion community as we pull this up for you to see. Right about here. This is Highway 45, Dale Drive, due west of there. This would be on Lazilla Road.
Okay.
Right up in here. It's not nice to take things that aren't yours. Shame on y'all. And I brought this up earlier this morning. We had, if y'all will remember, not too long ago, the state trooper, as I've mentioned many times, state troopers and police don't make a lot of money. They're not in it to get rich. So in order to provide for their family, they have to do sometimes 2-3 jobs. And the case with this 2 years ago, an off-duty lieutenant with the Mississippi Highway Patrol was doing his second job. He carried mail. Well, at 4 a.m., his car breaks down on the side of the road. And while he's sitting there waiting for someone to come help him, this guy pulls up behind him and shoots him, kills him. Horrible. They sentenced him yesterday, and I'm not so sure this was strong enough. They gave him 40 years, and within 30 years, he'll have to serve 30 years of it, and then a chance of parole after 30 years.
I don't even know why you would even get a chance for parole.
I don't know why you didn't get capital punishment killing someone.
Yeah.
My thoughts. You may disagree with me. There's a lot of people that don't agree with that, but an eye for an eye. That's what went through my mind. Can't bring him back.
Cold blood murder.
That's exactly what that was. I mentioned North Mississippi. They got that note from the folks up at TVA. They're the folks that provide power to the state. And this is the northern part of the state. They ask you to turn your AC up to 78. Don't use your oven. Go outside and use a grill to conserve on power. In 103-degree weather, how many people are going to do that?
Right, I know.
Yeah.
Well, if I put mine on 78, I would be burning up in the house. I mean, I would. It gets hot in my house. We don't have a lot of tree coverage over the top of our house to shade it.
I can remember Hank Williams Jr. Now, I know there's a lot of Hank Jr. fans out there, and a song that he wrote many, many moons ago, back when Carter was president. He said, "Don't tell me to ride a bus and turn down my thermostat when y'all run around in jets and Cadillacs."
Yeah.
Had a lot of truth to that. They tell you to do one thing, but they do another. That's what's happening around the state in those areas there. I brought this up also. We're having to get, where is American jobs, as we have to now rely on Mexico to get baby food? Just some thoughts there.
I did see some on the shelves the other day. You know, my daughter has a little one. So,
Right.
And I had called her and asked her, did she need any? But, you know, for the first time in a while, I've seen the shelves stocked.
A couple of more things that went on yesterday. There was an arrest. Well, actually, it was more than an arrest. It was judgment passed yesterday as 2 former employees of Lauderdale County stood before the judge and the gavel was dropped. What happened is, we pulled this up from Sam Media. The first one, Jerry Morgan, got 5 years in jail, and he has to repay almost $238,000. He'll have to pay $8,000 in fines and fees after his 5 years of prison time. Charles Houston got a $22,000 restitution judgment, $8,000, and he will serve, I believe, 3 years. Stealing gas.
Stealing diesel
and then
fuel.
reselling it. Everybody knows your name now. That was not good.
Goodness.
And then we all gathered yesterday at the Lauderdale County Courthouse. The very first time that I met Michael Cassidy was there a few weeks ago. And as we were standing there remembering an officer, and a canine officer, as we go back to take a look at this, who served with Lauderdale County for 15 years. And let's just show just a quick video of how this turned out. We had a lot of people
Today,
show up.
the Lauderdale County Courthouse was filled with those who came to pay last respects to a hero, Canine Rex. Rex had served with the Lauderdale County Sheriff's Department for over 15 years.
Canine deputy of our department that served from 2009 to 2016.
There's no other job like it. And only those of you that in this crowd that have been a canine handler will understand some of what I'm going to say.
And they would leave and deliver him to be interned. Touching moment.
Just 15 years. That's a long time, you know,
As
for a canine.
Oh, and we all know that my dogs, and then you think of working with a dog every day that's there to save your life, how close you become.
Yeah.
Very, very close. Y'all don't go anywhere. We're going to rip into this in just a moment. We'll be back next with Michael Cassidy as we get ready for that runoff, June 28th. We're going to be asking some questions. All that's next.
The Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville has these great savings this week. Fresh corn 3-pack, $1.79. Fresh Georgia peaches, $1.79 a pound. Vidalia onions, a 2-pound bag, $2.49. Fresh cucumbers, 2 for $1. Heinz tomato ketchup, 32-ounce, $3.99. And certified Angus beef T-bone steak, family pack, $9.99 a pound.
We're down home, down the street, Piggly Wiggly.
At the Back Porch, we're bringing families back together for fun, food, and all the things you love to enjoy around your home. Every event starts with a great grill, great cookware, and accessories. Add in some locally sourced meat and dairy, along with frozen vegetables and casseroles, and over 500 brands of spices and sauces. Relax in our chairs, swings, daybeds, and have fun with our cornhole boards. From coolers to trailers, we have everything you need. When you see the big chair, you've made it to the Back Porch.
I'm Richard Schwartz. If you've been in an auto accident, don't hesitate to call for legal help. Remember, the first 10 days following an accident are crucial. I am Richard Schwartz, and I'm here to help you.
Call Richard Schwartz today.
Welcome back with Scotty Ray and Candace. As we promised a special guest, we'll give him a... Whoop, there he is. How are you?
Doing good, thanks.
Right. There's a lot of mudslinging going on, and I think most people in this district have gone to their mailbox and seen this ad.
I pulled several out of my mailbox yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
All different ones. Like, you know.
You're being called a carpetbagger. What do you say to that, my friend?
Well, it's part of, so Mr. Guest, before June 7th, he didn't really run a campaign. He also didn't really show up to Congress. He missed about 40% of the votes the last 3 months, so nobody knows where he was. But once we got first place in the runoff election, he and the rest of the establishment, they got pretty scared. And so they've poured $1 million into this race, into a Mississippi House race, to smear me, to give lies about me. The smear about the carpetbagger, well, I think that's an attack on my military service. That's how I got to Mississippi.
Now, where were you born at?
Yeah, so I was born in Maryland, but I grew up in Virginia, and then I joined the Navy after September 11th, and then I went to flight school in Florida. I've kind of been all over the South, with even being here in Meridian in 2011. Flew F-18s, just like in that new Top Gun movie.
Yeah.
Did that in Virginia Beach, and then in 2016, I came here to be an instructor pilot, and at the Navy base here. And then I got off active duty about 18 months ago, and then I stuck around because I like it here. So,
yeah, and that's the big thing. Yeah. And we welcome people that move here from other states that want to stay with us. I don't think that would make you a carpetbagger. Okay, the next question that's been slung at you about this is you're grounded. What is all the rigmarole about that you can't fly? What is that he's spreading?
Well, it's a story that, I broke to the media. So it's not something that I've hidden by any means. It's because maybe a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, the Navy saw that part of my platform is that I think that I'm opposed to all of the leftist influence, the leftist takeover of so much of our media, our universities, our educational systems, our kids, and including now the military. I don't know how many people saw the Navy's recent pronoun training video from a couple days ago, and it's despicable. It's something that it needs. This kind of thing is not the focus of the military. We need to get rid of all of the diversity, inclusion, and equity type programs. We need to get rid of using race or sex for any promotion or job quotas. And so that's my platform. And the Navy, they saw that. They said, well, you're disagreeing with Navy policy. That's detrimental to good order and discipline. And I said, if I can't disagree with Navy policy as a political candidate, then how can I disagree with any government policy? How can I disagree with anything that President Biden is saying? How can I call for his impeachment, which is something that I do? My opponent, Mr. Guest, he's okay with Biden. He doesn't think he's broken any laws, doesn't think he's done anything worthy of impeachment. That's where we differ. And so,
as you say that, let me ask this: while you say that impeachment, the only bad thing, and I think a lot of people would like to see Biden impeached, but if you impeach him, look what we got.
Well,
would that not be worse?
Well, I would impeach Kamala Harris too. So, and then hopefully we would have, the only way we could do all of that would be if Republicans get control of the House again in 2023. But really the big part of the campaign and the ultimate point is that if we win back the House this year, Republicans, it ain't going to matter if we got the same kind of milquetoast, weak backbone people that are so many of our current representation. We need somebody who's going to fight. And that's why the establishment, they see that I'm going to fight. That's why they're pouring $1 million in the race against me. It's not to prop up Mr. Guess, because that would be a much tougher thing to do. So they're just going and they're lying about me. They're attacking me. I view it as the best endorsement that I could get, that the establishment is out for me. Because just like so many people watching today, just like y'all, we know that the establishment, they ain't got our best interests at heart. And so if the establishment views me as their enemy, well, that means I'm doing something right.
I agree with that. Now, me and Candace and most people that are watching are not political analysts. I can't sit here and dissect everything in Washington, and most of our listeners can't. You hear things, and if you're not careful, it'll stick. So this is where we have to ask you these questions, what we're hearing. All right, the next thing, this wedding, what do you want to give people getting married money? What is that about?
So that's not part of my platform, to be clear. When I was composing ideas, I've never run for office before. I've flown jets my whole life. And so as I was composing what my platform would end up being, one thing that I looked at was the fact that American families are in trouble. That over the past several decades, we've had a drastic drop in family formation, in birth rates. We've had the left's attack on traditional families. The federal government is subsidizing people to not have families. And I thought, maybe instead of giving all this, we're tens of billions of money to disincentivize family formation, it could be given instead to incentivize family formation. That was the idea behind it. This was something that I never campaigned on. This was really a draft proposal. Once people, my supporters, they reached out to me, they texted me, they called me, they said, "Hey man, is this really your platform? I think that it's not that conservative. There are more conservative options."
So this goes to show that if you come up with an idea and your constituents get in touch with you and go, "Look, I'm not sure about this," you listen to the people that would elect you.
That's absolutely correct. That I know that I don't, I flew jets. That there's certain things that I'm 100%, like there's no change in this, whether it's the defense of our country, the fact that the military needs to be focused on lethality, the fact that we need to have true election integrity reform, we need to have energy independence, we need to have a strong border, we need to deport illegal aliens, need to deport them all. These are things that, they are bedrock principles. Not giving any money to Planned Parenthood. That's a difference between me and my opponent. He gave over $1 billion to Planned Parenthood. Being opposed to red flag laws, all red flag laws. We cannot pass them. That is my line in the sand. My opponent, he's okay with it. So yes, on this, the issue of my family plan, I got feedback and I said, you know what, you're right. I can improve this. So that's where this is coming from. It's not my platform. I believe in giving more a tax deduction for families. I think that is a more efficient manner of helping family formation. So instead of giving so much money in taxes to the federal government for each extra kid you've got, then you get to keep more of your own income instead of giving it to the feds.
Do you hang out with Bernie Sanders on the weekends? Have you not seen him?
Yeah,
are y'all like best buds?
Well, I've heard that you agreed with Bernie Sanders on some things, but what do you say about
Bernie Sanders and I do not see eye to eye on I would imagine just about anything. That big attack with me and Bernie and AOC, that's from part of this beginning of my political process. I drew a lot of ideas from the military, and so what I did when I got off active duty about 1.5 years ago is I had the option as a veteran to buy TRICARE, TRICARE Reserve as health care. And so I thought briefly, maybe other people could do what I've done. Within a week, as I'm going back through this platform, these ideas, I realized, that's going to lead to way too much spending. It's going to be inefficient. We've got enough problems with our healthcare as it is. And I removed it. This was something that was done before I began campaigning. I've never campaigned on it. I don't believe in it. And so, but that's what $1 million of attack ads will have you believe. It's lies. They're absolute lies.
On the Medicare issue, is that what you're talking about?
Health,
Okay.
that's exactly it.
Okay.
I never proposed any sort of universal health care. It's an absolute lie by the Guests campaign. It's a lie by the shadowy super PACs that are backing them with corporate money. And it's all done to undermine me, which, unfortunately, it can be a little effective if people don't know anything else about me. But if you look at the rest of my platform on my website, votecassidy.com, you'll see that I'm quite conservative and much more conservative than my opponent.
Are you a Christian?
Yes.
Let me ask this. What denomination do you go to?
So I was raised Episcopalian and Baptist, but I'm going to First Presbyterian here in Meridian.
Well, that settles that. I've heard a lot of talk of that. Well, he does this, but he doesn't go to church. And you hear so much, and it's good to hear from you of what you think of that. Pro-life?
Absolutely. So that's one of the biggest differences between my opponent and I, is that he'll be pro-life when it's easy. It's pro-life to vote against a bill that would legalize abortion all the way up to birth for any reason. Anybody who is has any ties to pro-life, and I would say, sanity or humanity would vote against that bill.
Now
That's easy.
You touched on this a minute ago. How much did he vote on to spend on Planned Parenthood?
He voted for 2 bills that in total gave, I think, $1.1 billion to Planned Parenthood, which is the nation's largest abortion provider. And something new, it's in not every state, but there are many states that Planned Parenthood will give children sex hormones, that they'll give them hormones to try to turn them from a boy to a girl, which is impossible. And it's something that, the pro-life movement, we are getting a lot of momentum. We hope it could come out as soon as today, the decision on Roe v. Wade, and we hope it's going to be overturned. And we're trying to build that momentum, change things from how they have been for several decades, which is with Roe v. Wade being the law of the land. We're changing that, and we want to also, the base wants to change the idea of, hey, we got to give money to Planned Parenthood every year. It's just part of the funding bill. No, we need to stand up and fight to get it removed from these funding bills.
And that is a hot topic across America right now. And I want everybody to remember, Roe versus Wade, all this will do is give the states the right to vote on this. It's not, they've blown it into, it's going to reverse. It gives the individual state the right to choose how they want to handle that. And across America, I don't think they really realize that. Or there's more money pushing it, trying to sway it and muddy the water, so to speak. Wow. I'm trying to think of here some the debate. Let's talk about this.
Oh yeah,
you've challenged guests to a debate. Did he answer you? Have you heard anything?
He has. He's running scared, so he's not. He's declined every offer. I'd love to come back here if you would be happy to host a debate.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So we've got that out there. Again, Mr. Guest, they're running a cold political calculation. He and really, I would guess, his handlers that they know, and this is the second best endorsement that I think I can get, other than the establishment putting up $1 million against me, is that Mr. Guest knows that if he was on the same platform as me, if we were being asked questions side by side, if we got to ask questions of each other, then the voters would know that his platform is built on sand, that he has no platform, that he cannot defend his votes, and that my America First beliefs, compared to his, are a much better fit for the district. And because he knows it, he knows that's the case. Even though he's got 3 decades in politics, he's been, whether it's as a congressman, he's been a prosecutor, he talks about all the cases he's tried. Why would he be so scared of somebody who hasn't done anything in politics until the last 2.5 months? And it's because his message is based on nothing other than re-elect Michael Guest. And that so many people in the district disagree with that, and he knows that more people will too if people actually have to hear him speak.
Now, I have to admit that when you and I bumped into each other, I had heard your name, but I really, because I told you I need to find out some information about it. I knew absolutely nothing about you other than the name Cassidy. And the more I went around, the more I heard more and more about you. I don't know this. your family. Are you married? Do you have children? I know nothing like that.
Nope, not married, no children. Part of the reason I stuck around, find a good Mississippi girl. But I moved here again 6 years ago, and most of my family that's in Florida and Virginia.
Okay, well, that's good. Are they supportive of you on this? How do they feel about you running?
Yeah, no, they've, my dad's going to help out with some phone banking. Same with my brother. My mom helped put together some signs when she was down here a little while ago, so they're fully backing this endeavor.
No,
I'm totally against mudslinging. I think that's, and I think there's a lot of that's going on and stuff, but. I want to encourage people to go and check out facts if you are wondering about things. There's a website that is called facts.votesmart.org. If you have any kind of questions that you might want to answer, it has the bill names on there that you can go to on the bills that have been voted for by the other candidate. You can see exactly what he voted for if you have any question. And I want people to have an open mind with this election. Just because somebody's from another state and they're new to the state, fairly new, that does not mean that they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that,
Right.
I just don't understand people being that way.
Now, you do talk a little bit different than me. I'm going to go ahead and call you out on this.
But, that's fair. But it's funny, man. When I've had a couple people up in door knocking, slam the door in my face when they say, "Oh, you're a Yankee," and I'm from Northern Virginia. What was Robert E. Lee's army called?
There you go.
It's called the Army of Northern Virginia.
That's
it's
correct.
The South. Virginia, it's got it's the South. Even though I know
people
down here, I know people in Mississippi, they look at it different. But I was down in Walthall County for an event a couple weeks ago. So right down there on the Louisiana border, and somebody asked me where I lived, and I said I live near Meridian, and he said, "Oh, you're from up north." So even there are differentiations between the southern part of Mississippi and East Mississippi.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I just saw somebody said, if you could tell us, what will you do if you're elected? What do you plan to do for the state of Mississippi?
So. I saw the question too. What things that I want to do? The big things include getting us back to energy independence. That we need to expand oil drilling. We see all of the possibly the biggest issue with Americans right now, Mississippians, is the price of everything: gas, housing, and then basic necessities. And part of the reasons why they're so high. For oil is because the Biden administration has restricted drilling. The Biden administration, and then the guests included, a lot of people in Congress, they decided that they wanted to stop buying anything from Russia or Belarus, and that has backfired. That has backfired completely. The Putin is making more money than ever because the price of oil has gone up. The economies of the West are going into recession. The prices at the pump are skyrocketing. And it's because we have people with little insight, little far-reaching thought process in control of our government. So we need to make gas cheaper by opening up the supply. We need to stop printing all the money that the Federal Reserve is printing. We need to get some oversight over them. And we also need to stop spending. Going back to Ukraine, my opponent, he gave $53 billion to Ukraine when we've got shortages of infant formula here in the States, when we've got, again, gas prices going through the roof, that if we're going to be spending $53 billion as our economy is going into recession, it needs to be on Americans. Mm-hmm. And the America Last movement in the Capitol, those are the people that are perfectly fine sending your taxpayer money overseas. The America First movement, like me, we think it should stay here with the taxpayer.
That's a good point. We got more coming up. Well, Michael, y'all don't rush off. Got some more questions. We're going to go to the side here and ask some of the questions that are coming in from the general audience that are watching. Thank y'all. We'll be right back as we travel along on this early Thursday morning. Rockhouse Gun and Pawn is having a 10-year anniversary celebration blowout. Absolutely no sales tax on used firearms. 25% off all gun cleaning and gun care accessories. And a free box of ammo with every purchase of a new Glock pistol. 50% off all pawn electronics. 50% off on pawn tools. 25% off on all jewelry. Huge markdowns throughout the store. It's the Rock House 10-year anniversary celebration blowout. 5430 Highway 19 North.
Spring is here, and it's time to quit spending all of your weekend cutting grass when you could step up to a Skag zero-turn mower. Freeman Tractor in Collinsville has the #1 rated zero-turn mower, Skag, with cutting widths from 36 inches to 72 inches. Skag, the #1 choice of professional landscapers because they know nothing outcuts or outlasts a Skag. 0% financing for 48 months with payments starting as low as $129 a month. Stop by Freeman Tractor on Highway 494 and see coleslaw or buttermilk.
Good morning from Scotty Ray and Candace. A beautiful Thursday morning across the state of Mississippi. No matter where you're watching from, boy, we've got them all over watching this morning. One of our military guests this morning who happens to be running for office. Now, someone brought the question up. I think we need to address it head on. They said you made the comment a minute ago that you've lived in the state of Mississippi for 6 years, but you've only been voting in Mississippi for 2 years. Yeah. What do you say to that?
That's extremely common among naval aviators like myself. So we all go through Pensacola, Florida. Every Navy pilot does for training. And Florida, one of the good things about Florida is that they don't have a state income tax. And so when we go there, almost everybody, they do the math. They know that they're going to be in the military for about 10 years, moving to different states. And they say, you know, I think I'm going to change my residency to Florida so I don't have to pay state income tax. And then we keep our residency in Florida. Where your residency is, that's where you vote. So I've been a resident of Florida and a Florida voter from, I guess, 2009, 2010 until 2020 when I got off active duty. When I got off active duty, I'm living in Mississippi, so I changed my residency to Mississippi. I've been paying Mississippi state income taxes. I've been voting in Mississippi for every election since I got off active duty now, which is, I think, 4 chances to vote. So I've gotten every election that I could, 2016 and 20, even though I lived in Mississippi. I had to vote in Florida. I voted for Trump in both 16 and 20.
That was my next question of that. Who do you, out of all the political figures out there, who aligns with your way of thinking? Would you say Trump? Would it be DeSantis? Who would this be?
So somebody that in current Congress that I really like, I like Tom Massey. Tom Massey he's a member of the House from Kentucky. And he's pretty independent-minded. He's a strong constitutional conservative. He's against big government spending. He's against a lot of the policies of the left. And so somebody like that. I also like people that fight, like Matt Gaetz, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I like that they fight, that they stand up. And that's really, again, a big difference between my opponent and myself, that I want to go up there and fight. That's why the establishment's putting $1 million in these fake attack ads against me. And Mr. Guest, he just wants to go be a congressman. He wants to collect a paycheck, maybe go get a lobbying job once he gets out of office. But so many people that go to D.C., they're in it for themselves. And I've been my whole life. My whole life has been dedicated to the service of our country with the military, and that same kind of service to the nation is how I envision being if I get elected to be the congressman.
Now, let's say that in 2 years, midterms, that the Republicans take back the House. Mm-hmm. Who would you vote for? Who would you cast your vote for to be Speaker of the House? Who do you think is up to that job?
So that's I don't know who's running yet. I'd love to know who's running. It would definitely be
and of course that's not a fair question to you.
But I can tell you that because there's an attack from the left or the Guest campaign. But I repeat myself that I'm not going to vote for any Democrat. But also, to be perfectly clear, I would never vote for Kevin McCarthy. He's a rhino. Kevin McCarthy's the current majority leader in the House for the Republicans, and he's weak. He's also one of the guys who's pouring in these hundreds of thousands of dollars in attack ads against me because he knows that when I go there, I'm going to hold his feet to the fire. I'm not going to be just another yes vote for him to push through funding for Planned Parenthood, to push through tens of billions of foreign aid. I'm going to stand up for the American people, and he doesn't like that one bit.
You know, I think that's a big thing with people when it comes to voting time. You see people run for office, and you know they run on all these different things they say they're going to do, and then when they get up into the office, it's like somebody said they tuck their tail and they kind of just sit there and agree with everybody else, and they don't stand up. And I think that's what people want. They want somebody that's going to stand firm on what they say they're going to do and do it. And no matter what's going on around them, that they're not swayed in any kind of way from what they said that they're going to do. So what do you think about that? I mean, What's your feelings about how people? I mean, are you gonna? You say that you're going to stand firm. You know,
I think that the talk is somewhat cheap.
Right.
That it's easy for somebody to sit here and say, "Oh, well, I'm going to be a lot different. I'm going to stand up." But what I can point to, because I don't have any real long political record, the only real big political thing is that when the Navy grounded me because of my political belief about that we need to get the wokeism out of the military, I was willing to lose my job, lose my career over it, because I'm not going to change. And so I didn't change my view. It's still my policy view. It's going to be my policy view after the election. And that's something that, even though I was being threatened with my job, I said, you know what, I'm going to stand up. And that shows the backbone that I've got, the fact that I want to debate my opponent, that I've committed to debate the Democrat should I win the Republican runoff. That shows backbone. That's duty. That's what I've been raised on really my entire life. And it's a dereliction of duty for my opponent to not do the job of a congressman, which is go before the people and explain your own views and why you deserve to be reelected.
All right, let's talk about jobs. I don't care if you're watching me in Mississippi, if you're sitting in Colorado right now, a job is very important. You're representing us. What do you think you can do for jobs? And as we've looked at this, we need manufacturing back in the United States. So, I brought this up on the 6:30 show this morning. When someone can't go to the store to buy medicine because it's no longer here, or we can't put together a Ford truck because Mexico or some other country's got the chip that makes the whole truck run, it's sad. What do you think that you can do as a congressman to fix this? And how do you feel about it?
Well, I hate it. To be very simple, I hate it. The fact is that too many people, whether it's politicians, whether it's the big businesses, for decades, that they've been looking for how to chase efficiency, how to chase higher profits, and that has been the outsourcing of American industry overseas. And they've got cheaper labor. And it's unfortunate. We need to have a more friendly business environment here in this country. We need to minimize a lot of regulations. It shouldn't take 5 years to do an environmental impact study to build a plant. That there are a lot of things we need to have lower taxation so businesses can feel that they can make some money here in America. But what we also have to do is we have to be very smart, kind of like what Trump was doing. We need to have some targeted tariffs to ensure that we bring back some manufacturing, some of our industry back into our country. And it's not just not just for economics, it's national security. If we're relying on semiconductors or computer chips from Taiwan, or relying on materials to come to us from overseas, well, China can shut that down if we were ever to get in a war with them. We need to have a clear domestic supply of food, of energy, medical supplies, everything. All that needs to be a significant part, not saying everything, but a significant part of that needs to be done in America. And not only will that help us out by making us more secure, that'll help out the people by giving them more jobs.
I don't know if you've ever ridden through the, just due south of here's a little town called Enterprise. I don't know if you've ever ridden through there.
I've been through there, yeah.
One time that was a thriving town. They made shirts, they made socks, and it's just empty buildings sitting there. And all of these people no longer have a job. They've either had to move. It's destroyed small town America. Yep. We do need that back. What's your thoughts? Do you think America is headed toward a recession? Do you think that is going to happen? Or can we curb this with the election, the midterms? Can we stop it from happening? Or do you think it's too late?
I think that it's going to happen before the midterms. I think that there are just too many there are too many negative headwinds of inflation, of some of the policies of the Biden administration, excess spending. I think that we are headed towards a recession. However, that doesn't mean that we can't do anything to help fix it once Republicans take control back in 2023. Again, we got to take control over spending. We've got to take control over the Federal Reserve to have them stop printing money. And we've got to invest in American energy. That's really one of the biggest things, is American energy has to be, we've got to use it. We've got to stop demonizing fossil fuels, because that's what makes the economy go. It's what makes everything, the supply chains work. It's what gets food on the American table. It's what grows food. And so we can't let the left dominate the narrative on this.
I agree with that. We got more coming up with Michael. Y'all don't rush off. We got some more questions for him. And if you've got one that we haven't asked yet, feel free to drop this. As Scott said, Enterprise was destroyed by NAFTA. Mm-hmm. And that is so true. But Stonewall, Enterprise, all that area. So we got more questions coming up in just a moment. If you've got one, please post that. If you're watching on television, you can join us on YouTube, or you can join us also on Facebook. Put a reply, and we'll be glad to ask Michael that. As we turn to talk about our friends, Snowden and Company. If you're looking for a new home, these are the folks that do it. Well, they do it great. Amanda and her team are there to help you. All you got to do is call 453-3937. You can visit them online, snowdenrealestate.com. Scroll through the homes. Take a look at what she's got to offer. These are buyers. These are keys to a home that somebody just got. As you look at this, Bailey, Mississippi on the map there. A nice big home with double doors that, well, you can be in no time flat. Northeast School District, DeKalb, as we go out to Dalewood. What a beautiful home there looking across the water. You can even go over and check this out. Like this house. That one may be sold. Enterprise, speaking of it. And as we go across, we'll see this out at Lake Ross Collins. So many houses to choose from. They'll be open till 5 today, closed on Saturday by appointment only, and shut down on Sunday. Talk to them. Snowden Real Estate. If you want to meet somebody that's real, that'll take care of you, that has the best interest, it's Amanda. And this is her staff right here. Again, 601-453-3937. That's the number to call. They'll help you in any way they can. Drop in and visit with them today. I'll be glad you did. Greg's Fireworks in the Clarkdale community is celebrating 26 years in the business. Open daily through July 5th with the lowest prices and the largest selection around. Did I mention that it's air conditioned? From 500-gram cakes to sparkles for kids, gender reveals, and wedding sparklers. For the lowest prices, new fireworks, and a large selection, you gotta go to Greg's. 145 South in the Clarkdale community. Family owned and operated, and don't forget to say hello to Bo Cephas.
H&H Residential of Meridian is your #1 carpet and flooring store. If you've been thinking of a new look for your home or office, call for a free estimate or consultation. H&H can install or you can do it yourself. H&H has all of your design needs from color, style, and texture. If you can dream it, H&H can make it a reality. Come see the large selection of hardwood flooring, laminate, vinyl, and even carpet. H&H Residential of Meridian, open Monday through Friday, 9 to 4, 321 Hawkins Crossing Road. Call Rosemary anytime, 601-462-9541.
First 10 days following an accident are crucial. Insurance companies don't wait. They have a staff of adjusters, attorneys, and investigators collecting information that can be used against you.
Call Richard Schwartz today.
He's going to pause a
And
little bit.
welcome back, Scotty Ray and Candace, as we begin this. More questions as y'all keep posting that we'd like to know the answer to.
Yeah.
And Michael Cassidy, our special guest, if you just walk by the TV and see this for the first time. And also, I got a note, 2430 also said if we would like to have a debate with Mr. Guest, that we'd be more than glad to use the studios there and we can shoot live from their studios. So the debate is open. If you're watching, Michael, we would love to have you. Mm-hmm. It's not that hard. We got enough time between now and the 28th to do it. Yeah. Plenty of time. All right, let's talk about January the 6th. And you know a little bit about this, Candace.
I just know that there's been a lot of talk about January 6th. It's ruffled a lot of feathers with conservatives especially. Mm-hmm. What you claim that Michael Guest voted for the January 6th commission. You want to explain that to us?
Certainly. It's not just a claim, it's a public record. Mm-hmm. That I forget, I think May 23rd, May 25th of last year. I just put it on my Facebook yesterday, so you can go check me out there and you'll see it. That he voted on the January 6th commission bill, which was authored by Benny Thompson, our good friend from Mississippi's 2nd District, who's running the current January 6th witch hunt against Trump and the Republicans. And so in this bill, at the very beginning, it called the event of January 6th a domestic terrorist attack. And that is the language that Mr. Guest said yes to. No other Republican in the state of Mississippi agreed to it. Everybody else said no. Even Kevin McCarthy said no. Mitch McConnell said no. Mm-hmm. There are only a handful of Republicans that voted yes on it, like Mr. Guest. Donald Trump called them all weak and ineffective, and I would agree with that. I'd agree with that assessment, that they agreed with the Democrat narrative that it was a terrorist attack, that everybody knows that there was a small amount of violence, and we condemn that violence. But the overwhelming majority of people that were there were peaceful. The overwhelming majority of people that were there, the Trump supporters or whomever, that they were there because they were unhappy with the conduct of the 2020 election. Even people that didn't go in the Capitol, people that went in the Capitol, that were waved in by Capitol Police, Mr. Guest has called them domestic terrorists. He's done nothing, absolutely nothing, about the people that are being held as political prisoners that, again, were waved into the Capitol.
And I did see the video of that. The police just stepped back.
They stood by and were asked to stand down. But, my thing is that there's been a lot of, they say that Trump had agreed to let the guard come in. He had agreed for that, and Pelosi had denied the guard to come and be there. So I don't know. There's a lot that's going on right now where they're bashing Trump, but they're not saying the whole story, with that January 6th thing right now.
No,
nobody's being held accountable for the things that should have been held accountable for. So,
and let me ask this: there's certain inevitable certain rights that you get as being a Southerner. And that's apple pie, yes ma'am, no ma'am, owning a Chevrolet, and then also gun rights. We are taught, especially in the Deep South, to respect a firearm, to be taught to hunt with it, that it's just a part of your life to defend your home and what to eat. What is your stance on guns? What is the line that you draw? What side of the fence are you on?
So I'm extremely pro Second Amendment. That shall not be infringed means exactly that to me. And we've got a recent bill in the news that a lot of senators, Republican senators, they voted for some legislation, an 80-page bill that includes red flag laws. And that's something that is just like I won't vote to give a dime of money to Planned Parenthood, unlike my opponent. I'm also against any bill that has a red flag law in it. That is a red line for me. It's not for my opponent. He was just on Super Talk Radio a week ago, and he said, well, I'm going to have to, even though I know there's red flag laws in it, I'm going to have to see what else is in the bill and then make a decision from there. And that's the kind of, wishy-washy establishment swamp politician that will allow the slipperyest slope to take away your Second Amendment rights. That we need to have somebody with a backbone who's going to say no. I don't care what else is in the bill. We're not going to vote on anything that leads to the removal of due process, the removal of a law-abiding citizen's Second Amendment rights.
Let me read this. Somebody Jeff Dean said this. It says, I voted for Guest when he first ran for office. My disappointment in that is that he seemed to disappear once he was elected. Mr. Cassidy, once elected, you must be seen and heard, and you must act on the behalf of our wishes. We're looking for a loud and active fighter that has no reserve gear. I believe this is you. Are you the man for us?
100%. That's exactly why I want to go to D.C. I want to raise Cain. I don't want to go there and just go to cocktail parties or smooze with the lobbyists. I want to go there and stand up and fight. That's what I've been doing this whole campaign. That's why the establishment is so against me, and that's why they're afraid, because they know that that's going to be the person that I'll be as a representative.
And I think a lot of people, that comment that this gentleman just hit on here, be seen and heard. As we look at Meridian, the crime is just outrageous.
Right.
And we look to, every time there's a murder, we look for a press conference for our leaders to step up and go, hey, this happened last night, and by golly, we're going to stop it. But we sit and we wait, and nothing ever happens. And I think America, I think Lauderdale County, I think the state of Mississippi wants somebody that is going to stand up and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. We're putting a stop to all of this. How are you on crime? I haven't heard much about this. What's your thoughts on this?
So I believe in law and order. I believe that that everybody deserves to live in a safe neighborhood. That's just it should be a basic principle of being an American, and that we see too much of the left with these the DAs that are funded from Soros and other left-wing organizations, that they think that having somebody in jail or punishing somebody for a crime is worse than the crime itself. And that is something that has led to so much of the lawlessness that we see in our cities and throughout the country. Unfortunately, if you think back to May of 2020, during some of the big riots after George Floyd, that even in Washington D.C., there was an Antifa/BLM riot organization that attacked the White House, that several dozen Secret Service agents were injured as a result of this. President Trump actually was briefly evacuated, I think, to a basement room of the White House.
A bunker, so to speak.
Yeah, a bunker, yeah. And the left, what they did in response to that, they mocked Trump. They said, oh, he had to go run and hide. Mr. Guest said nothing. He said nothing about it. And the DAs, or the people in charge of D.C., they let all those people go. They let them go. And that has to end. That absolutely has to end. We cannot be we will not continue as a nation if we allow criminals to be at the top of the totem pole.
Let me ask this. You brought up Washington, and I saw this week, and it made me scratch my head and go, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. But the mayor of Washington commissioned a United States flag with 51 stars to be flown in Washington. District of Columbia is not a state. No. It is a district. What are your thoughts on that? And I know that's from the hip.
Yeah, that is remarkable. I have not heard that until now. It's not a state. That's not the United States flag.
But they keep trying to get that as a state because it is very liberal.
Oh, yeah.
And would sway and get more people in Congress for them.
Yeah, what the way I've seen, I think what makes a bit more sense is that the federal district was never meant to really be a big district. It wasn't meant to have nearly 1 million people living there. I think that what they did in the district actually used to include land in Virginia, but then they gave it back to Virginia. And that because it used to be an actual square. And that I think a similar thing could happen with the part of D.C. that's in Maryland, which is all of it, basically. And then let the people who live in D.C. vote in Maryland elections. And then you just have a smaller actual federal district. That's kind of a rough idea. That's not something I'm going to go to the mat on. But making D.C. a state, it's not a state. Come on.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got more coming up with Michael as we travel along this morning. We'll be right back with more questions. And again, if you haven't asked the question that you want to hear, post that for us so we can ask him. All of that is next.
At the Promised Land Journey, Pastor Bill Freeman will be your tour guide through the world of the biblical times. Roughly 3,000 people take the tour of Lauderdale County's recreation of Moses' Tabernacle, a tour of Christ's crucifixion and burial tomb, as well as a bird's eye view of first century Jerusalem and the Holy Land. Schedule a free tour and consider donating to the Promised Land Journey located at Covenant Life Church, 624 Highway 19 North in Collinsville.
Bring in the 4th of July with a big bang from the Red Fireworks Barn on Highway 19 South. East Mississippi and West Alabama's largest fireworks retailer. The Red Fireworks Barn is fully stocked and open for your 4th of July needs, including hundreds of new arrivals. From small to family packs, the Red Fireworks Barn offers the largest selection again with the best prices around. Home with a no-dud guarantee. Remember the name, the Red Fireworks Barn, for your 4th of July celebration, Highway 19 South in Meridian. See Charlie today.
I got the most difficult phone call you could ever receive. My husband had been in a car accident. He was hit and killed by a distracted driver.
Mary, losing a loved one is always devastating. I'm glad we were there during this difficult time.
And welcome back as we talk about our friends out at Chet's Paint and Body. I always joke about Chet showing up. Well, he does do that. He takes care of you folks when you have that little minor accident. Maybe it's a big accident. Most importantly is what cars cost now. And, well, you want it back to the way it was when you first bought it. Easy for a car to cost over $30,000 now, and you don't want it to look shabby. You want it to look as good as the day you bought it.
That's right.
Here's a truck that was T-boned there at a stop sign where somebody just kind of, didn't see it. It does happen to us there. Front end work, that's a common thing in our area. But if you want somebody that stands by their word, a handshake is all it takes. That's where you need to go. Chet's Paint and Body. You'll find him at Center Hill. He's widely known. He's been around forever there. Does classic cars as well, from a scratch to a ding to a major accident. Chet's gang will help you out there. They'll process that insurance work for you. Call them today, 737-2961. They'll handle the rest for you there. Drop by and meet your next best friend. He's a good guy. You'll enjoy doing work with him.
Yes.
Already 6 minutes before the top of the hour as we travel along, and so many questions are coming in for you. You're the man of the hour today. Mm-hmm. Candace, I'll let you ask this next question that was thrown up.
Which one about the?
you're standing in an auditorium and there's a women's bathroom.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do I decide? Who am I today?
Yeah. How do you feel about the men sharing women's restrooms? How do you feel about
I'm
that?
strongly opposed to it. It's part of the left's push to. It's really just like 1984, where they're trying to get people. The book that's about this totalitarian state. They're trying to convince people that 2 + 2 = 5. That a man can be a woman and that a woman can be a man. It's a mental disorder. It's not. You can't do it. You cannot change your own sex. And you can certainly try to make yourself more feminine or masculine, but that doesn't change the basic who you are.
Well, a lot of people look
your
at this
genetic
as
makeup.
Exactly,
right?
and
that's
safety. As we look at, wasn't it Virginia where the girl was raped in the bathroom of somebody that was trying to pretend to be something else?
That's exactly right. That's Loudoun County, Virginia, just outside of D.C. That a dad went to a school board meeting because his daughter had been raped by a so-called transgender student who was a boy who was in the girls' bathroom, and he raped his daughter, and he went to the board of the school board and to complain about it, and then he got arrested, called a domestic terrorist. Again, the same language that the left uses to silence conservatives is they call people, anybody who disagrees with their progressively twisted social values, they call them domestic terrorists. That's the same language that Michael Guest used when he voted on the January 6th Commission. Domestic terrorists.
Just throw this up. If you were to be elected, and you get there, and as we all know, so many times people forget where they come from.
Yeah.
And they said, would you do, even though you can't be at every city, would you do town hall meetings over the telephone to where you're in connection with your voters that voted for you to know what's going on in Washington? Would you do that?
Well, absolutely. And I'm going to be back here. I've still got to fly in the Navy Reserve, so I'll be back in Meridian. And one thing that I'll do that my opponent, I don't think many other people do, up in D.C. is that when there's a bill that's got some sort of importance to it, which is, most of them, like things that voting for a post office, I may not, but if there's a bill with any real substance that I vote on, I'll do either a brief little paragraph about why I voted yes or no, maybe a Facebook Live for something that's a bit more complex, like a big 2,600-page spending bill. Like, hey, why did you vote to shut down the government? Well, it's because it's got red flag laws in it. It's because it's got funding for Planned Parenthood. And that way the people can hear from me directly.
Do you have a campaign office anywhere, an actual office where people can drop by, get signs or anything like that?
So we're on the move. We're mobile. And the signs, man, we've only got another couple of dozen signs, and they're kind of spread out pretty thin right now.
Right.
We've had such a good response after. We made another huge order right after June 7th, but they're going like hotcakes. Yeah.
So they can contact you on Facebook if they've got a message or anything like that. How's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, best way would be via Facebook, also through the website. Facebook's probably the best to get in touch with me. One of the big things also with the campaign is that if I'm elected, I'm going to be here from East Mississippi. That's something that the Guest campaigns actually, they're pushing out west, is that they say, oh, well, if Cassidy's elected, then you're going to have a congressman from East Mississippi. Well, I'll tell you, I'll be a congressman from East Mississippi. And so I think that's something that people hear, whether you're that active in politics or not. I think that everybody would benefit from somebody who is from here. I think everybody would benefit from somebody who's going to fight the establishment. The establishment doesn't have anybody's interests at heart. They have their own interests at heart. So even if you aren't really all that politically active, I encourage you, please come out to the polls June 28th, or you can absentee ballot at your courthouse today, tomorrow, and then Saturday morning. It's going to be a real tight race. It was a couple hundred votes away from each other for the first election. If everybody who's watching today went out and brought their friend, then we're going to crush this election.
Thank you for dropping by. We appreciate it so much. At the end of our time this morning, we appreciate everybody coming by. We're welcome to a debate if we can make this happen. And we hope you have a great day. Don't forget to vote. It's going to be June the 28th. Polls open at 7 to 7 p.m. Candace, thank you. We can't thank you enough. We'll be back tomorrow morning bright and early, beginning at 8 a.m. Thank y'all so much for joining us.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners: